Hello again and welcome to another Bitcoin news show. We're here again Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific talking Bitcoin here on blab.im. If you missed the show, you can always check it out. We upload it to World Crypto Network, to their YouTube channel. You can always find us on there, as well as you can always find us in the Slack chat for the World Crypto Network. We're in there all the time talking Bitcoin. I have a couple guests tonight again joining me. We got Dustin from the Bitcoin Art Gallery. That's at BTC Art Gallery. How you doing, Dustin?
Greetings, Bitcoiners.
Greetings. All right. Well, we got Daniel joining us again from You and Me BTC. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey, pretty good. Great to be here.
Thanks again for joining us, guys. I really appreciate it. I love to talk Bitcoin, and I'm glad to have a couple people here to fulfill my rants. So so here we go, guys. So we got a couple good topics to go, and in fact, Dustin actually brought up another topic that we're going to talk about first. So I'd like to bring that up first, and what that is dealing with these the spam attack that's been happening for the past couple of days on the Bitcoin network. It seems that transactions are slowing, and of course the mempool size is up there right now, about 40 megabytes. So first, I'd like to go to Daniel and get his take on this, then go to Dustin and get his take, and then I think we might have a little bit of debate on this and see if this is good or bad for Bitcoin. So first, Daniel, tell me, what do you think about this? Have you seen this going on, this 40 megabyte mempool?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a ton, but I mean, I think we knew that it was coming. We knew. I mean, they've been saying mostly Mike Hearn. I know that's kind of a swear word or something these days, but yeah, I mean, he's been saying Bitcoin's growing and we're gonna hit the little limit per se. The limit is a hard term. It kind of has. It's tough because it's not really a hard limit. I mean, we can still get some transactions through. If you really need one fast, you can pay for it and everything. So, but yeah, we've known this is coming, and I think he said in one of his earlier articles about the block size, he said probably in winter 2016, and that's where we are. So I obviously I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, we've been growing. We've had a limited block size, and so this kind of stuff was coming.
So let me ask you this, Daniel, real quick. So do you think that these transactions right now, this attack, or maybe this is a stress test, do you think these transactions happening right now, filling up the mempool up to 40 megabyte, are legitimate transactions, or do you think this is another spam attack?
I would need to see a graph. If it was like a sudden spike, then yeah, sure, maybe it's
yeah, for sure. Because I mean, this wasn't no gradual up to 40 megabyte. I mean, if you look at the graphs, and we'll paste it into the show notes. But the mempool size limit's like ching in the past couple days, like just started Monday. It just
yeah. So I think that's probably likely then. Maybe a stress test, but if it was a legitimate stress test, I feel like it would be publicized and people would know that. So yeah, maybe it is a spam attack. But even that, I mean, it's no different than just growth. Like I said, we knew that this was coming. I mean, maybe they're making it sooner rather than later by spamming the network, but it's something that we needed to expect and we need to be prepared to deal with. And I think the first line of defense is just increase your fees, right? I mean, they tried to implement that replace by fee whatever thing where if your transaction wasn't going through, you could increase the fee and stuff. I don't know where that stands. I don't know how many people are using it.
It's not live yet, that's for sure.
Okay. So even then though, even without that, I mean, we can all see the network. We can see that things are being slow. So let's try and pay a little bit more. I mean, and then we know the block size has been consensusized like we talked about last week.
Yep.
So let's work on that too if that's what people want to do, a gradual increase there. So yeah, whether it's legitimate or not, whether it's an attack or not, we've been talking about this for ages. Let's deal with it. Even if we don't increase the block size, let's just pay a little bit more if we have to. That's part of Bitcoin. I mean,
the last time we saw this attack, all the wallet software added the ability to increase the fee.
Right. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, and that's kind of one of the coolest things that's been behind Bitcoin since the beginning is that when you have problems, you come up with solutions. That's what Bitcoin is. It's a solution. So you know, sure, there's going to be people suffering in an attack like this. They're going to be confused. They're going to have slow transactions, but I'm not worried one bit. We'll
long term.
come up
You're not worried long term,
yeah.
I assume. Yeah.
Oh
sure. Yeah, this is definitely a short to midterm issue in my opinion. But so Dustin, let me ask you then the same question. What do you think about this spam attack happening? If this is in fact a spam attack, let me get your thoughts on that. If you think it is, and then also let me get your thoughts on you think this is good or bad for Bitcoin, or can we fix this in the long term, or are you worried in the long term?
Oh, wow, that was a lot of questions. Okay. So
take whichever one you want.
Doom.
The sky is falling, right?
Sky is falling. The blocks are full, except Antminer and F2 Pool are mining empty blocks. So there are transactions being left by the miners in the mempool because they can manipulate the mempool because there is no control right now that has been published for requiring whether they actually have to fill up their own blocks or not. So there are empty blocks being published while there's a bunch of transactions waiting. I just put some things in the chat there talking about who has empty blocks, who has full blocks. This is really bad because we have hit a level where a spam attack can effectively put 30,000 transactions on the wait list, and there are people waiting, for their transactions to confirm. They shouldn't have to wait. There's no need to wait. They're miners who could take these transactions, suck in the fee or whatever, right? But they don't. They do not. And why do they not? Okay, there's actually financial incentives in place for why they do not. So you say that this is a spam attack. I do not believe this is a spam attack. Spam attacks have been shown before. If you go to the trade blocks, BTC, if you change 1 day to 7 days on the mempool bottom left chart, and you examine that chart and you change it to 7 days and you look at value of transactions, 2 million Bitcoins entered the mempool twice in just like the past couple of days. Massive movement of coins. Okay. Same thing happened in Ethereum though. Same things happened in the smaller altcoins. Massive movements of coins across the board. Huge surge in interest because of what's going on in the normal financial world and the normal financial news. That interest, there's new users, they're filling up the system. You can't tell me that it is a spam attack because the experts can't tell us it is a spam attack. It could be a massive user adoption in areas that we're not aware of because of all the financial things going on in the world.
I'm not fully disagreeing. I don't know. I don't know all the details, but just roughly looking at that graph, it looks like at least a 10x increase in that value.
In a matter of
in the mempool.
In a week, like right?
No, not even a week. It's like overnight.
News outside of Bitcoin, the world financial news is bad. Okay, the normal financial news is dark.
Right.
People around the world are looking for havens for value.
Sure.
I agree with that.
In the masses' points of view that leads to a massive rise in Bitcoin transactions.
Well,
I've seen an interest rise in just my accounts that I run in just the past couple of weeks.
Okay. Yeah, but a 10x rise overnight?
No, not right. It's not a 10x rise, but if it's a 3x rise and the spammer is the other 3x, okay. We still have the same problem.
Okay.
We still have the same problem. I mean,
that I agree with.
That's I agree with.
It's the same problem. It's just growth.
Twice. I mean, 2 million coins twice through the network in a week. That's never. I don't even see that being something that's occurred before. And you can see that in the mempool. Change the 1 day to 7 days mempool on trade block under BTC. It's the bottom left chart. You change that 7 days. You switch it to value, and we have seen an uptick in value movement that is unprecedented.
So,
So that I'm spooked.
okay.
I'm spooked, I'll be honest. I can't recommend to my friends right now what's going on because I listen to the Satoshi Roundtable, and while all this is going on, they published this really beautiful. Did you guys see what Satoshi Roundtable published today?
What is it? I didn't see.
I'll put it right here in the chat. They published a nice chart. Bitcoin should be open to participation by everyone. Bitcoin, so it's like a list. It's an 8-point list of Bitcoin values that has been assembled at the Satoshi Roundtable.
Oh.
For everyone who wants to know what's going on in Bitcoin, you watch Bitcoin Uncensored, okay? And you watch the recent one when they go to Satoshi Roundtable and they try to conduct, their operation as podcasters or whatever there, and they get hassled, okay?
Sure.
This is what they were doing in the Satoshi Roundtable, is this 8-point list. This has nothing to do with the mempool.
Right.
And there has been no statements. I'm looking on Twitter right now. Where are the statements on how?
That's what's interesting. That's what's interesting is that, last time we had a spam attack, like you said, Dustin. I mean, we were notified. I mean, on Reddit, we were notified like a month or two. Now, again, I still think this is a bit of a spam attack. Maybe not 100% of it, like you said, Dustin. Maybe it's only 3x, but I definitely don't think we have a 10x surge of users yet. However, we are on the cusp, and we know that. So let me change the topic here. Let me ask you guys, well, similar to this topic. So the Daily Decrypt, the lady on the Daily Decrypt, Dustin, you sent us a video of her latest. She actually does a sort of a Bitcoin news every single day called the Daily Decrypt. If you have the link, Dustin, can you paste that in again?
Yeah.
That YouTube link to paste it in. And so what she's saying is like she's citing a couple of good points similar to what Mike Hearn cited and things like that. But it seems, again, just like Mike Hearn, the language that she's using and the language that Mike Hearn used, they're using this language like basically saying, they're essentially saying that these problems are almost not going to be fixed. They're saying it with words and canter and expression like Bitcoin's got this problem, Bitcoin's got this problem, and all the altcoins have fixed this, and so what she's saying is she has a couple good points. But the question I pose to you guys is, do you think that that Bitcoin is technologically inferior to any altcoins, and do you think that Bitcoin could you think that the possibility could be that Bitcoin could remain completely technologically inferior to these other altcoins, or can we integrate some of that stuff? And do you think in the future that basically, do you think in the future the main problems will be fixed, like the transaction time problem, the supposed technological superiority of the altcoins? Do you think that we can address these issues in the future? So first, Daniel, let me ask you, what do you think about this?
Yeah, well, is Bitcoin technologically inferior to any altcoins? I would say absolutely, of course. I mean, there's a bazillion altcoins out there.
Sure.
Yeah, well, and, some of them are just plain ripoffs, but some of them are better in some ways. Absolutely. The bigger question is, are they better enough to overtake Bitcoin? And
so wait, Daniel, you mean 8? 8 of them are real, and 1,500 are scams.
Pretty much.
Well, I'm with you there. I totally agree.
Just that could be like a 50-50 statement, and newbies could be really confused, and they could buy some rabbit coin.
Sure. Yeah, don't buy rabbit coin, people. Sorry, continue, Daniel.
Well, see, actually, that's even the thing, though. I mean, rabbit coin is gonna have differences, and we just
go up. It's going to the moon.
Yeah, rabbit coin. Rabbits can jump higher than bits, probably. No, but see, even the scam coins are going to have minor differences, and we just don't know. Is 21 million a good cap, or is 22 million a good cap? It's not a big difference, but theoretically, one of them has to be slightly better. And so, yeah, so of course out there's going to be better things about some altcoins, but 21 versus 22, okay, one of them's better, but does it actually make a difference? No. And that's what we're saying. All but 8 of the altcoins are never, ever, ever going to make a difference. And even among those 8, that's the question. I mean, they might be, let's use percentages. They might be 10% better than Bitcoin. They might be 50% better than Bitcoin. But is that enough to overcome a market cap that is probably, what, 10x the number 2 market cap? I mean, probably not. And we will see some fluctuation with struggles like this, with the mempool filling up and people getting confused and moving around their coins and everything, maybe even moving back into fiat, who knows. But even, it's just so far ahead right now, even with fluctuations. I don't see it going anywhere, especially if in the next month or 2 or 3, if we can add some technology with the replaced by fee or whatever, if we can increase the block size by a little bit. And I'm not trying to say that replaced by fee is the answer.
Right.
First of all, I know that a lot of people have issues with that, but just in general, if we can add technology, work with the block size a little bit, I think no matter what we struggle with in the next month, that should balance us out for a while, I think.
Okay, very cool. Dustin, same thing to you. Do you think Bitcoin might be taken over by some of these altcoins with all of this criticisms from Daily Decrypt and other news articles talking how inferior Bitcoin is to these other altcoins? What do you think?
You mean like Motherboard?
Yeah, that's one article, and I've seen other articles too. So what do you think? I mean, do you think that Bitcoin might be taken over by these altcoins? Do you think that these accusations are legitimate at all, or what?
Adoption is what matters, and altcoins have a difficult job in their position in that they are not going to be forefront in people's thinking of the situation when they confront it. Some of the altcoins, like Daniel just said, could even have a technological edge on Bitcoin or a governance edge. This is a governance edge. This is not a technical problem. All of the solutions have already been proposed in the BIPs.
Yep.
And they're simply trying to reach consensus over and over again on which BIPs they'll adopt when.
The details.
And that's not a technical issue. And so there are altcoins that have proposed that they could fix this kind of governance issue, but honestly, this was coming the entire time in Bitcoin. It's not the governance issue in Bitcoin. I do not believe is a technical solvable issue because it's a human issue. It's on the human side. It's in humanity's realm of how do people manage themselves when they are, say, the biggest miner, and how do they align their own personal incentives versus the incentives of the rest of humanity. Any altcoin would have the same problem.
Yep.
So I don't see this as an issue that an altcoin can solve. I totally think that people should do their own research, that they shouldn't jump ship on something that they may have later regrets about because they're spooked about the news. Because if you're going to be spooked about the news in Bitcoin,
you're in the wrong industry.
Yeah,
you haven't been here very long.
You're in the wrong industry for sure.
You are
okay.
Right.
So
wait 10 years.
So let me say a couple things and see what you guys think. So basically, yeah. So I agree with your points, Dustin. That most of the problems that we have in Bitcoin right now really aren't technical; they're political and human. And then I definitely agree with Daniel's points on how basically most of these coins just don't do a whole lot of things better. And the ones that do better, it's not necessarily better; they're different. For example, like Ethereum. I mean, like Ethereum, I think that we need Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't think that we just need Bitcoin or Ethereum. I definitely want to see projects with
counterparty forked Ethereum.
Exactly. Yeah.
In like 4 hours.
Yes. So again, but right, counterparty didn't fork everything in Ethereum. They just forked their Serpent programming language, which is cool and like a main part. But I'm just saying, there's all sorts of other stuff that Ethereum does with dApps and certain things and smart contracts. But I think that these other coins like Ethereum and these other coins, they better do something different if they think that they're going to quote unquote take over Bitcoin. Because again, Bitcoin has its own use case too. Remember, it's not just the first. People think, oh, Bitcoin's the biggest because it's it's the first. That's the only reason why. No, I mean Bitcoin is kind of taking a place right now as the digital gold of all of these cryptocurrencies. Yes, it's probably.
Let's not be absolutists. Let's not be absolutists. You sound like an absolutist. You sound like a Bitcoin maximalist.
Well, again, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that Bitcoin is playing the role of digital gold, backing up the rest of these cryptos. Because again, we need all of these cryptos. We need a ton of cryptos. We need things that people haven't even thought of yet. However, we still need a crypto that can back up all the rest of the cryptos, something that we can have guaranteed faith in. Because at the end of the day, these coins, they're all pretty new. Like even Ethereum is very new. Bitcoin has been around the longest. And when you're talking about transferring your value and storing your value, trust is the number one thing, right? That's what makes Bitcoin amazing. It's a trustless system. We don't have to trust any counterparty. We can just trust that Bitcoin works. And that role right there, just as this digital gold, as this backing this currency that backs up all the other currencies, is still a valid, legitimate role, even if, for example, these other coins do more cool, featureful things, have faster transactions. Okay, that's great, and maybe we'll need that for certain reasons. For example, again, to compete with Visa and things. But Bitcoin itself, that still is playing a role as like this digital gold backing up the rest of the crypto. So even if these coins create all these awesome features and stuff like that, and maybe are, into some people's eyes, technologically superior, I think that Bitcoin still has a role that they can't fulfill, and that is basically this digital backing cryptocurrency. And the reason why Bitcoin can do that, again, is two reasons. One, it's been around the longest, so it has the longest chain of trust. And two, it has the most, by far, miners in its network, securing its network 24/7, 365. So from these two features, the rest of the altcoins could take advantage of that and still survive and do other cool things, and then Bitcoin can still survive too. I just don't see them taking over the market cap, even if they said, like Dustin said, can maybe do transactions twice as fast. So what? So let me ask you, Dustin, any comments on that particular rant?
Well,
does that still sound Bitcoin maximalist at all, or does that?
Slightly, because you were rubbing your hands like this when you were saying like digital gold. And then it was kind of like a look to you.
I still know we talked about this probably a month or so ago, but I have trouble a little bit saying that Bitcoin is completely trustless, because that's kind of what's going on with this whole block size thing is if you can't trust that the block size is going to be the same, and you can't trust that the block size is going to increase. It's subject to the whims of the developers, or even if you did say that it was kind of a democracy and that it was decentralized completely, you're still subject to the whims of the 51% or whoever kind of starts taking over the network.
But Dana, but remember, but not, all that has nothing to do with the fact that Bitcoin still has that chain of trust, though. That doesn't change the chain of trust. That doesn't change the amount of security it has. That doesn't change the fact that my transaction is more secure than any altcoin because of the network behind it.
But it can make people question their position in the chain of trust and say,
sure,
why do I not switch over to another chain of trust where I could have a higher position?
Sure.
In their screwy business sense of which chain, which blockchain am I going with, which do I accept, which do I not to accept? Because I've seen a ton of adoption of Ethereum to the equal level of I've seen a criticism of Ethereum in that the Ethereum has been adopted on a platform level on major exchanges all over the place, and even though there's serious criticisms of it, if you make the Bitcoin blockchain look uninhabitable, right, then people will look for, okay, maybe I have a bigger advantage on this other blockchain, and they could switch, right? And that in itself generates its own news.
Sure.
And then,
so
right, you see how.
Right. So, but I don't think that's powerful enough to drive mass adoption.
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit of adoption. But go ahead, Daniel. Finish your.
If we're limited just to cryptocurrency, I think that Bitcoin's got it for quite a while, just because of everything you said. Vortex, because it does have by far the greatest amount of power behind it, the longest chain of trust and everything. That I'm completely okay with. But in a more general way, comparing crypto to gold, let's say gold itself, and I think I said this a month or so ago, you don't have to trust gold at all. It's physics. I mean, sure, maybe there's people out there that don't trust physics, but whatever. I mean, for the most part, you don't have to trust gold. But with Bitcoin, I mean, it's like with Bitcoin and like the block size or any other technical change, it's like saying that, oh, someday they might add a proton to gold. I mean, that there's a big difference there. So
very true. Very true. That is true. And you know what? But I still think what I said stands true, which is the trust itself. Even if they added that proton, right, the trust level of trust going all the way back to the first transaction is still equal to what it was before they added that proton.
That's
right?
true.
I guess it depends on the proton.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, with gold, if you added a proton, it becomes a different element. I don't know what's next. Okay. But with Bitcoin, you're right. If you change the block size, a Bitcoin is still a Bitcoin, and
it's still just a secure. Sorry, still just a secure.
Right.
Do you two think that at some point in the future, Bitcoin developers would have an immense problem because whatever they propose as a new update to Bitcoin, there'd be such resistance by the people who are running the previous system.
So
simply in the sense of software updating,
sure. So
being which people must overcome.
So
at some point that would become a difficulty. How do we know what we're seeing now isn't a hyper increased version of that same thing where people become more reluctant to adopt whatever change anyone proposes because it is a change, and that the whole block size debate is around the issue of let's be on the conservative side versus the liberal side of Bitcoin, where you're trying to be progressive, you're trying to stay in the past, right?
So there's a couple of things on that. So basically, we've kind of seen something similar to this before, right? With HTTP, where we changed all sorts of stuff, version 1 through 1, then 1, then 2, then 3, and then by the time we got to 4, the thing was unchangeable, right? They came up with IPv6 10 plus years ago, and it still isn't fully adopted, right? So I think we've seen this before, and I think this is why there's a kind of a rush to get so much stuff done in Bitcoin before we get to that point, before we hit mass adoption. Because once we do hit mass adoption, I think you're right, Dustin. We've seen this before. It's going to be almost impossible to get hardware to upgrade, to get software to upgrade, to get wallets, exchanges, to get all of the consensus to upgrade. Again, it took us 10 plus years with IPv4 to get to IPv6, to where all the hardware, all of the networks and everything supported it. And, maybe it'll take that long with Bitcoin. But to be honest, I don't see that as being a problem. I think that by the time we get to Bitcoin version 4, if we got to that, maybe even version 2, we'll be sitting a lot more pretty than we are now pre-beta, pre-version 1.0. We're still in beta right now. So Daniel, go ahead.
That's that. I would say that I kind of hope that eventually Bitcoin reaches a point where it can't be changed, right? Yeah, it doesn't need to be changed.
Yes.
Well, both. Yeah, both. I hope it's so big that the wallets, Airbits and blockchain and whatever. I hope you're right, Dustin. I hope they are saying no. We don't want to update our whole entire system. Let's leave it alone because millions of people depend on it. I hope we reach a point like that, and then when we do have things that are troublesome or solutions that people want to add, I think that a lot of that, if not all of that, could just be added on top of Bitcoin, so that blockchain, side chains, I love those too. But even just like additional layers on top of Bitcoin. Just as secure, just as great cryptography and security and everything. But people can just kind of do things their own way. And if you want to adopt another layer, you can do it. Just like email is on top of TCP/IP and everything. If you want to adopt email, which if it's great, like email is great, then sure, everyone's probably going to adopt it. And sure, let's do it.
Cool. All right, so we agree on that. All right, so then I guess we've probably done that topic to death. We can move on to the next topic. Let's see. So let me paste this link into the chat. Let's see what we got here. So this one is the federal government's Bitcoin advisor calls blockchain startups misguided. So let me paste this in. And 1 second. Gotta find the window. That would help. All right. So, this gentleman by the name of Paul Chow. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. It's Chou. So I'm thinking it's either Shu or Chow, one of those. But Mr. Paul there, he's basically saying, remember, I guess he's the actual advisor, the official, the government's Bitcoin advisor. Basically, he's trying to tell. He's trying to say that the blockchain startups on Wall Street are, for the most part, misguided because they're trying to separate Bitcoin, the currency, and then Bitcoin, the blockchain, Bitcoin, the network that we call the blockchain. So first, let me ask Daniel, what do you think about Paul's advice, and do you think that he's right? Because remember, what he's basically saying is that his company is going the Bitcoin route. They're going full Bitcoin. They're taking advantage of Bitcoin, while these other companies are trying to trying to not use Bitcoin and make their own Bitcoin and things like that. So, Daniel, what do you think about this?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I mean I might be disagreeing with most pretty strong Bitcoiners and Bitcoin purists and everything, but a lot of this article was about are Bitcoin and the blockchain the same thing? Do they have to go together? And a lot of enthusiasts and purists and stuff say that they are the same. You have to have them together because the blockchain is Bitcoin, or Bitcoin is the blockchain and stuff. And I appreciate those ideas because I know they're both great things, and I know we all want both of them. But in general, I think I would agree that they have to go together. Except, I mean, but still, I mean, logically or semantically, they're still different things. I mean, Bitcoin is a currency. The blockchain is a record of transactions. I mean, they're not the same thing. That's like saying that a screenshot of your bank account is the same thing as a $100 bill. I mean, they're not. One of them's a record of the money, and one of them is money. I mean, they're different things. And like I said, I agree that they have to go together. I know that there are people who are trying to make blockchains without a currency. And I think that's risky because there's no incentive there. If there's no currency or token involved, where's the incentive to keep it secure? Where's the incentive to do legitimate mining and stuff? So there I agree that they have that the blockchain should be accompanied by a cryptocurrency. But even then, you can say it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. There are a ton of cryptocurrencies out there, all on different blockchains, and it doesn't. It's not Bitcoin. There are other blockchains that don't have Bitcoin. I'm sorry. I know we love both of them, but it's just the truth. There are blockchains that don't have Bitcoin. There just are. So.
Wait. No, Daniel, there's like 4 things wrong with what you said.
All right, go for it. I want to know.
Then before I could respond to his question, okay, so the comparison you made between Bitcoin and the blockchain is not a good comparison because you're saying that one thing is not like another when one thing is a part of another. So you're saying like a cell. Part of the cell is the nuclei of the cell, okay? And you can't have a cell without a nuclei. No, you can't have a cell without a nuclei. It doesn't work.
Well, no.
And he said that
part in them, and that is and you can have nuclei without a cell, but you can't have a cell without. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's what I meant. I agree that they have to go together, and that if you try to have a blockchain without a cryptocurrency, then you're going to have issues. But
then the second thing was that you said that there are many alternative currencies which they could use, but they're all less secure than Bitcoin because the reason that Bitcoin is the crazy mining is to secure it, right?
Yep.
And so all of those other altcoins are less secure than Bitcoin. And I guess that would change my aspect, which one I wanted to get into in like the long run too, is security.
No, I agree with that. The thing is, a cell is still different than, or a nuclei is still different than a cell. There are a bunch of cells in my body, and they all have different nuclei. Or I like it better to say that the cell is part of the body. Let's make it a little bit higher level. The cell is part of the body. I agree that they should go together all the time. And if you try to have a body without cells, that's kind of weird.
It would just be liquid.
Right. But there are different cells. I mean, a rabbit is different. You know, like it's like saying a cell goes into the body. If the body was Bitcoin and it needed the blockchain cells, well, there are also rabbits who need different cells, or fish who need different cells. So
that's a terrible example because the majority of our cells are all sort of the same.
Well, you're talking about the DNA.
They're radically different.
You're talking about
like a life form of DNA, or almost.
Well, we're getting off topic here, but yeah, you know, I think okay. So here's what he's saying. Basically, you know, the blockchain is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not the blockchain. However, they, in his opinion, are inseparable, and there are room for other blockchains. So then, Dustin, I'll pose the same question to you before I answer, which is basically like, what do you think about what Paul is saying here? Do you agree with it?
Mining. So the blockchains are a horribly inefficient way to store data. They're probably the least efficient way to store data. The only reason you would use a blockchain is because it would be the most difficult, valuable data that you needed to aggregate around the world. And in all other senses, a blockchain is unuseful. So
okay,
and that was immediately apparent to me, and I've been really confused by the discussion for like the past year of all these companies. Like the article you posted, I totally agree with him. All of these companies that are hitting Wall Street right now, all of the news in the word blockchain and stuff is a bunch of hype nonsense, because they don't understand that the reason that you're mining is to encrypt the data and make it extremely difficult to attack and create a 51% attack on that data. And so I totally agree with him, because these blockchains are the least efficient way of storing normal data. Like I saw an article where a firefighter was saying how firefighters should have their own blockchain so that they could store health-related data in random terminals placed around like a county or something. And that was like the least effective way I'd ever heard of trying to store data, because he was proposing there would be like massive mining and firefighter coin. And I was like, why don't you just do what you said without doing any of that blockchain? So most stories about blockchain are nonsense, complete nonsense. And
I'm with you there. I really am.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna comment. So that's basically what I was gonna say too, Dustin, is that what people seem to forget is that the blockchain is one of the most horrible ways to store data. It is a really, really freaking slow database. If you want fast data, man, between banks, between networks, then you're gonna be using SQL or NoSQL or some kind of database like that. The whole point of why there is a blockchain is that so we can keep the token on the network secure, so that we can have an immutable ledger, so that we can prove without a doubt from now to 1,000 years from now and beyond that a specific transaction happened at a specific point of time and space. So that's the whole reason. You know? I
just realized all these blockchains are going to get attacked.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing too. Yeah, because I didn't even think about that, Dustin. Good point. Because you know these altcoins. Look what happens to these smaller altcoins, right? They get completely DDoSed. They get mined out before anybody. Yeah.
On the proof of stakes, and they get totally destroyed.
Yeah. So it just seems like why the heck are these people? I mean, we know why, right? Because they don't want Bitcoin, right? But it's at the same time, it's like why? Wow. How are all of these companies and these people being duped into this whole thing that everybody needs a blockchain. That we need all these banks need blockchains, and the Bitcoin is not going to save them. They can say screw Bitcoin and have their own blockchain without a currency. And of course, to understand Bitcoin, it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult pill to swallow. You have to know a lot of different things, be fluent in a lot of different disciplines to really see the bigger picture. Because of course, anybody can understand Bitcoin is digital cash, but that's just where it starts, right? That's where the rabbit hole starts. Then you start digging deep into the rabbit hole, and you figure out that you can store anything on this token. So then you can start doing smart contracts. You can start storing bonds and certificates and so on and so forth. And then it gets even deeper because, now you don't need law anymore because of the smart contracts. You don't need lawyers and things like that. And so it just gets really deep. So all of this, because we are protecting this token with mining. So again, Bitcoin has the most secure network because it has the most hashing power by far than any other coin. And that hashing power is all going towards making sure that nobody can mess with the ledger. And that's what makes it the most secure. So just not sure either, guys, why the heck this blockchain thing is still taking off. We know that they tried to kind of like, subvert Bitcoin, so to speak, and try to get people to avoid Bitcoin and downplay it and stuff like that. We understand the reasoning. But again, for all of these people to believe it's still a little mind boggling. And really, it's going to take a few years, just like the internet. It took people years to really wrap their head around. If you make one little character wrong, go to the wrong site. One little character wrong, email goes to the wrong person. Like that trips people out. I remember in the day, like teachers just being unbelievable. Like there's just no way I can use that internet thing. If you make one wrong character, then you go to the wrong address. Just these things, these ludicrous things that we take advantage of now. So I think that with a few years more of education, people will finally get and understand that you need a cryptocurrency to back up a blockchain. Until then, though, Bitcoin's going to stay cheap. And I guess that's good for us. Just keep on buying and buying until people finally realize the value that Bitcoin can actually hold. So, okay, so very cool. I think we did that article to death. That was good. Good answers, guys.
But that's a really good question, though. Why is the blockchain thing happening
still
where all the companies on Earth are trying to employ their own blockchain?
It's just like the internet, man. Back in the day, everybody wanted to make their own internet. Remember, every company promised the companies their own internet.
Well, come out with like a little internet for themselves.
An intranet, yeah. Basically, they were promising these intranets. They were basically selling these intranets like they were mini internets. So they would go to a company and be like, we can set you up with email, we can set you up with like a forum, and it could be social, and it could be interactive, it could be online, and they're selling them all of these things about the internet, that the internet was good for, but it would only work in this tiny little network. So the benefit would be like they would sell it like you could have all the benefits of the internet, but nobody could touch your data. Your data will be 100% secure in your servers and things like that. So this is similar to what they're selling the blockchain, right? They're like, you can have all the benefits of Bitcoin, but guess what? You don't have to worry about Bitcoin. We can totally secure it without it. We don't need it. We can make it secure in your bank vault, in your servers, make sure only you can mess with it. And so it's the same story that they're being fed, I think.
Daniel, what do you think? Why is the blockchain thing going on?
What do you think, Daniel?
Well, you mean why are the other smaller blockchains still happening?
No. Why are these companies still buying hook, line, and sinker the fact that they can make their own blockchain?
Sony is like Samsung or Sony. One of them is launching a blockchain initiative for education so that they could do something with schools and blockchain.
And IBM is launching their blockchain with the Internet of Things. Everybody's launching their own freaking blockchains and stuff. And so why do you think, Daniel, that people still haven't figured it out?
Yeah, I mean, it's just they want to be running things. They want to have a certain amount of power. I think it's just to try and just run. Yeah, like I said, run what they can. I mean, it's like the browser wars and stuff too. I mean, it started out with AOL or whatever, Netscape and stuff, but ultimately it was the open source. Mozilla and Chrome are the biggest now. I mean, Chrome is based on the open source. I forget, Chromium or whatever. And so yeah, I mean, it's just they're big companies. They have money. Blockchain is new. Let's try and get involved. Let's try and build it ourselves and be in charge of it. They want to try. I mean, maybe they don't care if it doesn't work out. They want to try and run things, but whatever. They're just let's try it. I don't know. That's probably where they're at.
Okay. So let me just just address one thing in the chat. So right now, basically, one of the chat members, Bick Nelsky, I think, is basically saying that mining is going to be super centralized in the future to the point to where somebody can do a 51% attack. So first, I'm gonna ask you guys about that. So, and then I'm gonna say what I think first.
Comments in the chat the entire night, so holler out to the chat room.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm reading them as we go, and they're really interesting. I've been trying to incorporate them into my thinking.
Yeah, we had a good chat tonight. So basically, yeah. So I don't think that that 50% of the mining power can ever really be owned, because again, people would leave it, just like we saw last time. Well, basically what happened was a mining company got Ghash. The name of it was Ghash, and they got about 50% of the mining network. And what happened was Reddit blew up, right? The internet blew up. Everybody freaking was like, whoa, we had 50%. Everybody's got to start downgrading. They got to leave this pool, build another pool. They've got to do something. And so what happened was Ghash made all sorts of changes. People left Ghash. A myriad of different things actually happened in the network that allowed for the Ghash percentage to go down. So even if somebody got to be 50%, got 50% of the power, which is unlikely, especially since anybody in the world can mine, it seems unlikely. And again, yes, there's centralization, quote unquote, sort of in mining right now in China. It's centralized. It's not centralization. Okay, that just is the first place where Bitcoin is taking off in the world. There will be, as Bitcoin grows, there'll be much more incentive for people around the world to compete with China. Remember, China. I mean, if you think that China is going to make all this money from Bitcoin mining and nobody else is going to notice, right? And nobody else is going to want to take part, and they're like, oh, let's just let China have the whole network. That is not going to happen. As Bitcoin grows, there's going to be more and more incentive to do more and more mining. So, and again, as Bitcoin becomes larger and larger, it becomes more and more difficult to acquire 50% of the network. As it becomes larger and larger, it just becomes more impossible to do, as there's just more and more hardware out there. So first, let me ask Daniel, what do you think? I mean, for the future of mining, is it going to be centralized? Do we have to worry about it? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I mean, I remember this would have been about 2 years ago or so. But yeah, when Ghash got up there, I remember Antonopoulos just gave a talk on it.
Kitty cat.
Crypto Kitty. Antonopoulos just, I couldn't even remember them all, but he just had this whole chain of reasoning where, like, a pool having that much power is not the same as one person having that much power. And even if one person did have that much power, it wouldn't really be easy for them to execute an attack. And even if they did execute an attack, we would still see it and be able to mitigate it.
Yeah, mitigate it. Route around it, mitigate it. Awesome. Well said.
And I think he even had more layers than that. Just saying, well, even if they did this, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But even if they did that, it wouldn't be that
I remember that talk, man. Like, that was awesome. He kind of floored me a bit on that particular YouTube video. He's got so many, I have no idea which one it is. But that was definitely one where he broke down, like, that centralization problem that people think Bitcoin has in mining. So,
right.
Well, and it will have. It's a thing which it's like the mempool problem, in which it increases and becomes more of a problem and then decreases and becomes less of a problem. It's always a problem. It always has like a fraction of a percent of it's causing a problem, just like all of these, and then they increase or decrease.
Well, Andreas describes it as ebbing and flowing, right? It's going to ebb and flow as it reaches equilibrium with the rest of the network. So.
Right. Yeah, I've said this many times, and it's not my idea. Other people have said it too. Bitcoin mining is designed to be pretty much break even. I mean, it's designed that, if a bunch of people are doing it and making money, then more people are going to join in, and then it might come overcrowded and people are going to start losing money. So then people leave, and then they start making more money, so people come back. It's just like you're saying, it's an equilibrium thing. And if it becomes centralized, that's because it's profitable. And if it's profitable, then more people are going to do it, therefore making it less centralized. And it's equilibrium. That's exactly what it is.
So yeah, people, they seem to forget that, Bitcoin is it's not going to be as easily controlled as the internet was. It's true, the internet really got centralized, kind of taken over by ISPs, and here we are today with Google running like most of the internet, right? So we have that, and that might happen with Bitcoin, but the thing is that it's different. It's a different case scenario. It's not just data we're dealing with here. This is money, and you can't just get the money, right? You have to actually mine it. And so we have a whole different set of a whole ball game with a whole different set of rules here on how it can be bought up by corporations. And I just don't think that that it could ever be fully bought out by the corporations of the world. And especially as Bitcoin becomes larger and larger, that's going to take away fiat from these corporations that are currently sucking the life out of people. I call them like really parasitic corporations like Visa with their remittance, taking huge amounts of fees, and these types of companies. They're the power that they have now will not be the power that they'll have in 10 years if Bitcoin is successful.
Middlemen.
Yep. Most of these middlemen will be taken to the cleaners.
And if anyone thinks that the middlemen aren't in Bitcoin, look at the blockchain companies.
Yep.
They're all trying to be new coins that they control, that they are the middlemen to the coins. Look for the middlemen, and you'll see what's an honest project and what isn't, because reasons. I got nothing.
Hold on one sec. We got Blake messaging me. Let's see. Hope the show's going. Oh, okay. He's gonna. Okay. I thought Blake was gonna come in, but no. He's just saying he's gonna look at the show tomorrow. So yeah, that was Blake Miles that we had last week with Daniel. Was on the show, and he was that ex Green Beret. Fascinating podcast. That was a good show. You guys should check that out. So before we move into the next subject, I'd just like to ask everybody if they're enjoying the show, if they could go ahead and tweet out or Facebook post out that we're still live. We got the buttons on the side there. You can click the tweet button or the post button and have everybody tweet out. It helps us get more viewers, helps us reach more people. And so that's what we really want to do at the end of the day. None of us are getting paid for this. We just want to reach a greater audience. We just want to get the information out there. So if everybody could retweet that, that'd be great. We're about to start the next topic here. We've been having a pretty good show so far.
You two aren't CIA agents and then getting paid for this?
So yeah, I get a salary from the CIA. I'm sorry, I'll take that back.
I'm a secret government agent. I thought everyone in Bitcoin was.
Dude, we're all secret government agents, man.
That's right.
So this next subject is kind of flow right into what we were just talking about. So let me paste this in. Basically, the blockchain distributed ledger JP Morgan's blockchain. So JP Morgan's blockchain test now has 2,200 clients in their blockchain. Again, this is a centralized ledger that we were just talking about, a centralized blockchain without a currency, basically a really slow database. And so now they're bragging that they have 2,200 clients that they've reached now. And so I wanted to get your guys'
I got 22,000 Twitter followers. I'm not impressed.
Exactly. So I was going to say, I'll just open it with, before I go to Daniel, I'll just open it with 2,200 clients. We have like twice that amount of just nodes, let alone actual customers using the network. So go ahead, Daniel. What do you think about this 2,200 customers that the JP Morgan client has now?
Do we know what they mean by clients? Are those nodes, or are they JP Morgan's nodes? Are they publicly? So like, can I join the network?
So no, you cannot. So they're all privately vetted. And what I believe that they mean by client is a partner. So like a partner could be like, it could be a partner of partners, but it's probably a partner database or a partner system, a system that they're partnering with. And and again, here's the funny thing, just like you said, just like you pointed out, Daniel, we actually don't 100% know because the system isn't open, right? They could be completely freaking lying, right? They're like saying, we got 2,200 clients. We have no idea how to prove this. We have no ability, to prove this. We have no ability to prove what they're saying is true. So sorry, Daniel, I interrupted you, but go ahead.
Yeah, until there's jpmorganchain.info, I'm gonna have some question marks there. I don't think they would be lying. They probably do have 2,200 people out there with whatever computers connected to it, but it's they're probably mostly their own. They're just, even if they are partners, it's still basically their system, and they let them in and they tell them how to run the node and what to do with the node. And so I mean, if it's private, who cares how many nodes there are? I mean, they can change whatever they want to change and move stuff wherever they want to move it.
Why are they running a private blockchain?
I know.
Why indeed, Dustin? Why indeed? Because we know why, right? They don't want to be subject to this open monetary system, right?
And 2,200 is not like a big number that I'm impressed by. That's like a number I'm kind of concerned that JP Morgan couldn't get more people.
That's interesting. Yeah, because when I think of the number 2,200, I think of like, oh, okay, maybe Twitter followers.
Yeah, but like, no, Rabbitcoin has like 22,000 nodes. I mean, I could pick a shit coin, and it is 22,000 or 2,200, not even 1,000, 2,200 clients.
Yeah. Okay,
like,
yes.
No.
We're all pretty convinced that this is kind of bullshit. That's what I really wanted to get out, is that, this is a centralized ledger that are continuing to put out articles.
Get away with this? Why is this not illegal? Why aren't the regulators getting on top of this? Because this looks like a great way to launder money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. Here's what I think is funny about this
bank, and just launder out $10 million through clients, through your virtual currency, that you just invented as a bank, and then $1 billion disappears.
So here's what I think. First of all, a lot more money than that has disappeared in the traditional monetary system, right? Just look at the bailouts. We have no idea where the trillions of dollars went. But so with what I think is hilarious about these private blockchains is because there's no currency and because there's no open mining system, they literally actually can't trust each other, right? How the hell is JP Morgan going to actually trust that this other bank that this other bank's private ledger without a currency actually is accurate? It's no different than saying, is their database different than what it is now? It's no different than in 2008 when the banks stopped trading with each other. This blockchain thing that they're doing is not going to stop them trading with each other in 2008 like they did in 2008.
No, you're right. You're right. They must be lying to us. They must be using the federal database for all of the bank intertransfers. I can't remember what its name is, but it's massive. Mm-hmm. They're using that, and they're calling it like a blockchain or something, and they just put another layer on top of that because there is no way they could legally get away with operating an interchain blockchain between banks, because not in the long run, because if there was any sort of record, somebody's going to look at it at some point and be like, oh, look, there's a couple $1 billion missing here in your little investment blockchain. Where exactly did that go? I mean, there's no way it's a real blockchain, because a blockchain is a list of records of transactions. And that is, they can't be keeping a separate list of transactions than the ones that they report to the feds, right? They can't be keeping a separate database, can they?
Not in my opinion.
So, legally? I don't even think.
First of all, of course, we understand that banks write the regulations, right? The regulators aren't the ones writing the regulations like they would have us believe, right? It's the freaking banks.
I forgot. Hold on. All right.
Okay. So that was a quick topic. That was a bit quick topic. But this next one is going to tie right into it too. So this next topic is Blythe Masters basically said that Wall Street has an advantage over blockchain startups. So let me paste that link in here. Let me ask you, Daniel, first. What do you think about Blythe Masters' topic? Do blockchain startups on Wall Street have an advantage over Bitcoin blockchain startups?
Yeah. So when I first read this, I was basically going to say, yeah, they do. and it's pretty much for the reason that you just said. They write the regulations. It sucks. It's an unfortunate reality, but they're in charge. They're gigantic. They have whatever the fuck funds they want, and they can do what they want. I mean, they're the what's the word I'm looking for? They're the incumbents, I think. Yeah. They're just there. And so, yeah, they're going to have advantages just in money and in branding and respect and everything. However illegitimate it is, they have an advantage. But, and we've seen this all the time in history. I mean, all the time. It's the true innovators who end up on top. And I think we would all agree Bitcoin is a true innovation. So it can't be escaped. If it's really beneficial, if it's really helping people, if people really have a reason to use Bitcoin, they're going to. And it might take a while for them to see why there's a difference between JP Morgan coin and Bitcoin. But if it really is better, then in the end, it's going to hurt anybody who doesn't jump on to the true innovation.
Yeah.
And if,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say if they don't, then they're going to be disrupted in time.
So what I really like what you said is the true innovation. So Bitcoin is really the true innovation here. The blockchain itself, again, as we've said throughout the show, is just a slow database. Bitcoin combined with its blockchain is the real innovation here. And it's just like you said, people are going to choose which one is going to be better for them. And I think that in the end, Bitcoin is going to offer more choice on all fronts, more choice for people for chargebacks, for companies taking that up at some point. More choice for security, more choice for wallets, more choice for what kind of currencies you want to change into. Just choice. Things that the banks could no way legally do and in mass. And so I liken it a little bit almost to Steve Jobs, which is like Steve Jobs. He went to IBM and IBM said there's no way that people are going to want a computer in their house. Like there's just no way. And so he built it. People said, you know what? I do want a computer in my house. IBM couldn't do shit. They came back with an inferior device, and we saw what happened. So I do believe that the true innovation, just like you said, I really like what you said, Daniel. The true innovation is what's going to win out. People are going to eventually see. However, it's going to take time to get through the smoke and mirrors that the JP Morgan is pushing out, and shit like that. So, Dustin, what do you think about this? Do you think that Wall Street has an advantage, and do you think that advantage is going to last over time?
No, I clearly have the advantage because I shouldn't have said rabbit coin earlier because it's been coming up since I said it.
Rabbit coin.
All in on the rabbit. No, of course, what are we even saying? Wall Street has some sort of advantage on the rest of humanity. Yeah, I mean, the world's giant systems have an advantage of being the legacy system that has every advantage you can imagine. They invented it for themselves over the past 100 years. And you're not going to topple that system casually. You have to, as you grow, like integrate and subvert the system and beat them in the long run of economic supply demand, decades long charts, and economists are going to bicker about it forever. You don't beat Wall Street overnight, no. So because their advantages are that high, they're insane, impossible advantages. If you could beat them overnight with some new technological innovation, they would have already been defeated. They wouldn't exist. We'd have some other system in their place. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I like what you said there for sure. I just don't. Yes, they have advantages because they built the system, right? They built it for themselves. That's what I really like. Is this is what they ended up doing? They ended up building a system for themselves that takes advantage of everybody else. And so I do think that it's going to take a while. I don't think we're going to subvert Wall Street overnight, but I also think that, just like you said, we're going to have to do all sorts of things. We're going to have to attack on all fronts. We're going to have to go inside, go outside, go around, on all fronts in order to take on this huge beast that is the traditional finance system. So we'll see. But I think that another thing that some people are saying in the chat is that the financial companies will be able to hire all the best developers and suck up all the talent and things like that. So to that I say, well, what about Silicon Valley? Silicon Valley is right now currently in the process of sucking up all the financial talent that was existing in the financial system, right? They're currently sucking up all their talent. So it's actually the opposite that's happening right now. So yeah, financial companies, they have, and banks, they have money and stuff like that for sure. Obviously that they can wave in front of the best developers, but here's the thing. People also have their own hearts, their own minds, their own, paths that they see. And there's going to be a whole bunch of developers out there that are not going to want to side with banks. because we've seen what the hell they are about. People know this is in the pop culture. Banksters are like the bad guys in all the video games now and all the movies. Like, this is in the pop culture. We understand that bankers are evil, that these people built a system for themselves. So, I don't see them controlling the talent like that. Like some people may think, I don't see them controlling the talent pool whatsoever. I think they're already losing the talent pool. Daniel, Dustin, anything to comment on that?
I mean, I don't know if I would agree completely.
Okay.
I mean, it's another unfortunate reality that money runs the world. I mean, that's the banks have money, a ton of it. They can create it out of thin air.
Well,
and so if they
all the money,
yeah. So if they want to pay the best developers, with very few exceptions, I think they're going to succeed. But I would still just stick with, in the long run, it doesn't matter where the best developers go. If Bitcoin is really innovative and really beneficial, then it's going to get developed in the end, and it's going to be better than the banks in the end. And no matter how much talent they can buy, it's not going to be enough to knock down true innovation. So
yep, for sure. I just don't. I guess maybe in the short term, maybe short, medium for sure, but in the long term, I think the same thing, because we kind of saw this happen with the internet, right? Like in the beginning, it was AOL and CompuServe hiring up all these people and stuff, and now look at the world we live in now, where any entrepreneur can, in a weekend, fire up a freaking Amazon S3 instance and bootstrap add a bootstrap theme and build a company in a weekend, right? Like this is now where we are. And so what we did is we saw a whole bunch of developers break away from the big companies in which they had no control, just another cog in the they had no respect, no control, just another cog in the machine, where they could go and actually create something for themselves, create what they want to do, be in charge of their own destiny. And I think that is a powerful incentive that people are going to take eventually. But I think you're right. You guys are both right that they're gonna probably get the majority of the talent in the beginning. But in the long term, I don't think will be able to hold on to that. I don't think they'll be able to hold on to it at all as Bitcoin continues to chip away little bit by little bit at their market share.
There was an interesting point I see raised in the chat about Blockstream's funding of up to $76 million. And I just wanted to point out that Bitcoin has a volume today of $56 million, and it consistently, you have to buy every day. There's a million, can't remember the number, 3,000 coins mined a day.
Right, 3,500
dollars a coin. The amount of money pouring into Bitcoin every single day is 100 times what has been put into the developers. So if people are like, oh, they're going to buy the best developers, somebody spent $1 billion on Bitcoin in the past year. And I'm sure if they could have thought of some other way to do it, they would have done it for cheaper than that. It's a side thought.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It's still there. It just still exists, and it's still pissing a lot of people off. So that's good for me. So that's good. That's a good way to end that one. So let's start with we got a couple more topics left. Let's dive a little bit into the FBI versus Apple just a bit, shall we? Just for fun, because everybody's doing that. This article is FBI versus Apple establishes a new phase of the crypto wars. So let's paste that link into the chat room and go with Daniel first. So Daniel, I don't know if you guys actually both of you, I don't know if you've heard, but just today, maybe it was, Apple won a court case. It was not the it was not the main one, the San Bernardino one, but they won a different case that will hopefully set a precedent for the San Bernardino case, and it was very positive. So first, let me get your thoughts, Daniel, on, do you think that Apple that Apple is right or wrong to try to withhold their encryption, do you think Apple is wrong in turning down the FBI's request to give them a backdoor to be able to hack into any iPhone? And then second of all, do you think that they're going to win in the long run? What do you think about this whole crypto war?
Yeah. Hey, I didn't hear about that news just today,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I don't think they're wrong at all. I mean, I mean, anyone that listens to my show knows I'm not a huge fan of the government. Yeah, I mean, they don't need that information. The Apple doesn't have to give it to them, whatever. And although I've said this in the past, we have an episode called "Is Privacy Overrated?" And even though it's really contrary to a lot of Bitcoiners and a lot of Liberty people, to a certain extent, I'm not that concerned about privacy. And that needs some clarification because I think you should have a right to it. If you want to be private, you should have every little bit of right that you can scrounge up. But in general, there are people who just freak out about every little thing, and they try to make they'll install custom operating systems and whatever just to make everything private. And if you want to, if you have the technological know-how and you're interested, do it. Absolutely. Make yourself as private and as hidden as you want. But also, to a certain extent, that's if you put too much effort into it, you've kind of already lost the battle. You're suppressing yourself. You're hiding in a corner. You're not being as active and as free as you really should be. I mean, if arguing for freedom, why are you so concerned about hiding in the corner? I think it's the best idea, unless easy. If it's easy, I mean, I use some encrypted messaging apps, and just because they're easy, you install them and they're just like texting and they're encrypted, and so that's great. Let's do it. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So going on Apple here, this whole thing to me is kind of a non-issue because even if you're concerned about getting caught, if you're doing something dangerous, I mean, especially, let me back up a little bit. Sorry, this is a little bit long, but hopefully it comes together. If you are a privacy freak, you probably have a reason for it. Maybe you're doing something, I don't know. And so if that's you, then it doesn't matter if the government has a back door, because you can still encrypt the next layer. No matter what the government can see, you can still encrypt it. And what I mean by that is, let's say the standard SMS texting. If just texting, if I text you Vortex, if I say hi Vortex, that's not encrypted. But without any special protocols or networks or anything, well, I guess we need the protocol GPG or something. But without not one bit of change to the existing infrastructure, I can send you over SMS, over the ClearNet SMS, I can send you an encrypted message however I want. We can come up with our own encryption scheme. So just because they have a back door does not mean that they can access any information they want. If I'm a privacy freak, I'm just going to encrypt whatever is behind on another layer. So there's no such thing as the government having access to everything. It's oh man, I don't want to break up.
Sorry, just a little bit there, Dana, you were breaking up. But yeah, we definitely see where we were going with that. So let me jump in a little bit and say, so first of all, the reason why I'm concerned is not necessarily for the FBI to be able to crack into my phone per se, but for the FBI the ability to crack encryption in general. That's what I don't want to happen, and this is what they're going to do. This is the end goal. This is what they're going to try to accomplish. And this particular FBI versus Apple case is just the next block of them. If they can successfully complete this block, then they'll go to the next and the next until finally the end game is the ability to crack any encryption. And that is what I have a problem with, is the NSA, FBI, and centralized organizations having the ability to crack encryption. Now that stuff, that's some scary, terrible thing. That's some scary, terrible stuff. Because if that happened, of course, then we really would, Daniel, lose privacy globally, and that is what I don't want to see happen. So this case is going to set a precedence, as all cases do. This case is no different. It's going to set a precedence. If they win, they'll move on to the next level. And me personally, I'm all about stopping the FBI and the NSA and the centralized governments of the world from ultimately hacking encryption. This is what their end goal is, and this is what I don't want to see happen. So for me personally, I don't have anything to hide. But again, it's that argument that I like what Snowden says, which is, if saying that you got nothing to hide and not caring about privacy is the same thing as, not caring about free speech because you have nothing to say, right? We still want it to exist forever as a right. But the thing is, Daniel, if they do crack this case and they move on to the next level, and eventually hack encryption, well, then that's it. Then there is no more privacy. So that, of course, is a terrible world that I don't want to live in with. So go ahead.
I know what you're saying, and I agree that would be terrible, but I don't think that that's physically possible, because even if they cracked, I don't even know what all the
the AES, MD5, there's all sorts of out there.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they cracked one or the other or a bunch of those, we can. There's other options.
We create another one.
We can create. Right, we can create more, and we can. Let's say that MD5 somehow became some kind of standard, and most encryption was done over MD5. Well, if they crack that, and even if it's still an MD5 infrastructure everywhere, we can put AES on top of MD5, and we can send AES encrypted data through the MD5 infrastructure. And hopefully they wouldn't be able to crack that. But even if they did, we can make more.
So here's the other thing that this case is doing. This is also setting a precedence to the American people and to the world, to what we're saying to our government. We're saying we are either going to say, if this case wins or loses, we're either going to say, okay, government, we are totally okay with you snooping into every single one of our devices. Please do so that you can catch terrorists. Or we're going to say, no, I don't want you in my stuff. You do not have the right to look through my data, through my information, without a warrant, without due cause, without actual court orders, right? Or one or the other. That's what we're going to say. And so that's what this precedent is about. To me personally, I think that this is the part of an ongoing conversation that we've been having since the 80s and 90s about crypto, about, do we want the government to have the ability to go into every one of our devices at any time or not? And if we say yes in this case, and say yes in a few more, well, that's exactly what we're going to get. And personally, I don't have anything to hide, but I still don't want my data being sifted through NSA data centers where any young freaking jock, who's been there for only a year, can just pull up my name and take a look. Because remember, the spying programs didn't catch any terrorists anyway, right? They never caught a single one. They were abused and abused and abused, these spying programs. And you can look up the articles. They were abused to look at cheating spouses. They were abused to look at judges' phone calls. They were abused to monitor reporters. Just time and time and again, these spying programs were abused and not used to catch terrorists. And then again, even the
naked pics.
Yep. And even FBI director came out and said, admitted, no, we have not caught any terrorists with these spying programs, and they're not gonna. Because terrorists don't use the regular stuff that people do, right? The regular stuff that regular people do. Terrorists is not going to go on Google Chrome, log in under their Google account, and start making plans to take out the president. Okay, they're not going to. They're not going to get on their iPhone and start, just text messaging people and get on Instagram and saying, "I'm going to kill the world." These terrorists are using encryption correctly, and they are using the tools to their advantage correctly.
What do you mean the last terrorist attacks had zero encryption? They did.
Yeah. I'm not saying every single.
They were on Instagram. Right. They were on Facebook, and no one caught that. All the systems.
Yeah, and that's what's sad too. That's what's sad too. But
there were signs all over the place, and nothing caught them.
Right. And so that's true too. And that's true too. So I'm not saying that all terrorists, but I'm saying that most will not use an Instagram account. But for sure, the ones in Paris did. And they still didn't. They still couldn't catch him. And then they tried to do the whole thing about, they were using encryption. They were using Bitcoin. That's why we couldn't do it. No, dude. It came out that they were not. They did not.
The phone that is encrypted now, the only reason they can't get into it is because they changed the cloud backup password.
Yep.
it wasn't really encrypted
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
would have disabled the cloud backup, and that was not even the main phone, okay, that they're talking about here.
For sure.
It's,
So Daniel, just any before we go on.
this isn't really an encryption discussion about them breaking encryption in the first place. This is about them forcing companies to provide a way around the encryption.
Right.
The encryption doesn't need to be broken, right?
Right.
At its heart.
Okay. So Daniel, any follow up on that before we go to Dustin?
You know,
Go to me.
there's a lot here, and
15 minutes.
What do you say? Sorry, what did you say, Dustin? You got to go?
No, just I don't need to say anything else. God, no.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here in terms of there's a lot of different questions. It's like, does privacy, is it a right? Even if it was a right, is it something that we should be paranoid about? Even if we were paranoid about it, are we worried about the government are we worried about the government being allowed to crack encryption, or are we worried about them being able to crack encryption? There's a lot of different questions here.
But it's not just cracking encryption. They're trying to compel Apple to force an update around the right. So it's not cracking the
right, and
forcing
right.
And here's the thing, real quick.
Stop the update.
Right. And here's the thing, though, Daniel, with those questions, the thing is that we've seen in the past them use their abilities and abuse them. We've seen them abuse their abilities in the past. So we know that they will abuse their power. We know they will abuse their abilities. So now it's a question of, do we still want them to have this power, even though we know they're going to abuse it and most likely not catch any terrorists anyway?
So here's the way I would see it. If Apple is able, and that's why I meant, Dustin, by the first question, I tried to differentiate, should we allow them to crack encryption by this kind of update workaround versus should we be worried about them being able to crack encryption? And I think if Apple is able to create this kind of workaround, then the government probably could too. They would, and it doesn't matter what the courts say.
Apple already said they would take them about a month.
Right. And so I don't think it matters what the courts say. There's going to be agencies out there, whether we know it or not, who are just going to say, "Oh, let's create this workaround." And okay, we haven't cracked MD5. But we can, at least we can brute force it a little bit easier. And so if we're worried about them abusing their power, then I don't know if we can care about this court case. No, I mean that's not what I mean. Of course we care.
No,
of course we don't.
Caring about it. That's
yeah. Who cares? Whatever.
Fuck.
No, I'm just saying, like if we're concerned about them abusing their power, then the courts aren't going to make a difference. I mean, abuse is abuse, no matter what the courts say. So it shouldn't.
The courts still set precedent, right? You know, court cases still set precedences, man. I know that the court systems are a sham and stuff like that, but at the end, they still actually set precedences, you know, for lawyers to be able to go back and say, look, on this case, you can totally see that this person won for this reason. So that means that if somebody tries to go up against the precedents, they almost always lose. Precedents almost always wins, and that's why I'm worried about it.
Maybe for a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, if the FBI or the NSA has the ability to open a phone, whether it's by cracking the encryption or kind of working around it and brute forcing it. I mean, personally, I don't know. I don't see them caring what the courts say. I mean, I get that there's benefits. Yeah, okay. So the precedent, maybe in a future case, they'll be able to go back to the precedent and say, okay, this guy shouldn't be guilty. But then the next guy is going to show up, and then the next guy is going to show up, and they're going to keep working around and cracking things. And And even if the guy is found not guilty, 2 decades down in the future, he still had to go through all kinds of trouble just because the FBI worked around his encryption. And so the only solution, the only precedent is great. Let's get it if we can. But the only hardcore solution is just to encrypt more. If you're worried about it, encrypt more, encrypt more, encrypt more, encrypt another layer. And I know I just said privacy is overrated. Let's not be a prick. But if you're doing something that the government is going to come after you for, encrypt more. Encrypt more, become anonymous.
Or if you value your privacy, then encrypt more.
Daniel, I heard you like encryption, so I encrypted your encryption so you can encrypt while you encrypt.
There we go.
All right.
How much encryption would an encryptor encrypt if an encryptus could encrypt encryption?
All right. All right, guys, we're moving on to the next topic. That was good. That was a good talk. So before we move on to the next topic, if you guys are enjoying the show, we got 13 people in here, minus the guests. So 13, 12, 11, 10 other people here besides the guests. If you go ahead and tweet out the show, if you guys are liking what you're seeing, please tweet it out. Click the Facebook button, click the tweet button. Let people know that we're here talking Bitcoin. We'll wait. No, seriously. We'll keep going. But no, go ahead. But
this is like a marathon, man.
No, go ahead. We only got 1 or 2 stories left, and so let's.
It'll only take like another hour tops.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about the speed that we go. So let's go on to the second to last topic here. From ChangeTip here. ChangeTip launches a decentralized wallet in a bid to gain more Bitcoin users. Let me just paste this in to the chat.
Why do you keep the ChangeTip story? Nobody cares about ChangeTip. Man.
Oh man,
ChangeTip over. It's done.
No. First of all, I love ChangeTip. Okay, let's. I don't have any investments with them, but I love them. I love what they're doing. I love the fact that they're creating this decentralized wallet because we're getting a lot of criticism from only having the ability to store your funds on their servers.
Okay, wait. So, have you been tipped through ChangeTip?
Oh yeah, I've been tipped. I tip on CoinDesk. I tip on Twitter.
Okay.
Mostly
how much have you tipped out? You think?
So if you look at my file, I believe it says that I've tipped a total of like $32 and received a total of like 7 or 8. But again, that was a lot of tips to get $32.
So I run the Bitcoin Art Gallery. All I do is put out like these awesome tweets of what other people are doing, and then try to direct people at their original Twitter accounts. Okay. No, there is no change tipping. Okay.
You're saying you don't get
tipping is not happening.
So you're saying you don't get tipped, or are you saying others are not getting tipped?
I'm saying others are not getting tipped. I have received some tips, but they are a fraction of what I've given out to the artists just because I was like, wow, these guys never get tipped. Here, I'll give you $1 or $2. Sure, why not? But most of them have closed their ChangeTip accounts because I'm like the only person who's ever ChangeTipped them.
Okay. So, let me ask you. So,
it's not really happening. ChangeTip is like giving people money to tip other people with. They have all these fake spam accounts that do change tipping and stuff. Oh man.
Well, we'll see. They did receive, investment. They have put out some products. So first, Daniel, what do you think about the story? What do you think about ChangeTip? What do you think about this decentralized wallet?
Yeah, this is great. We actually have an episode called "The Great ChangeTip Debate."
Oh, really?
I think it's episode 51. Because,
everybody go back and watch that because that sounds cool.
50.
Yeah, my co-host.
Jeez, that's a while back.
Oh, I know. It's over a year ago.
It was like before the
my
Bitcoin Ice Age, man.
Bitcoin, when everything moves 5 times the speed. But sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, my co-host just couldn't stand the idea of ChangeTip. He's like, who the fuck wants a 50 cents or 10-cent tip? Like, who wants it? What's it going to do for me?
Yeah, well, you want 1,000 of them. You want 1,000 of them.
Yeah,
right.
And then that's right. But when you literally only ever get one, and it's like 5 cents, it is insulting.
Yeah.
Okay, I know artists who did like huge paintings and they got like 25 cents ever.
Sure.
That is actually insulting. And I'd rather get nothing, okay, than oh yeah, here's a nickel.
All right, well, keep going, Daniel.
But the truth is, I think I would generally side with Vortex. I get that it's not there yet. I get that people just aren't used to tipping a lot, and maybe they won't. Well,
It needs
I don't know.
to
I was gonna say
be
maybe,
built in on the platform, and it needs to be built in on like the Facebook level.
Yes.
When you hit likes,
yes,
the micro tip, and so you
That
get
is-
a million likes,
that is
wound up with $20. You know,
But
whatever.
that is literally that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And I was even going to mention the like button. It needs to cost a millibit to like something. It needs to be built into the platform.
It would prevent spam likes.
Oh yeah.
It cost you.
Right.
You actually have to like
Right. And yeah, so I wouldn't say it's impossible to get there. I think if we include it in the platform and with a little help from cultural change, if we get people to see that, hey, tipping is, I mean, I've never bought an app in my life. I've never, why would I buy an app? I'm not going to pay $1.50 for an app, but I'm about to commission some art for like a couple $100 because I love it. I love art. It's beautiful. And I'm willing to pay for it, and I think that's the cultural change that people need to see. And actually, I don't even think it needs much change because I think that's kind of human nature. Is if you love something, I mean, even though greed is also human nature, I think that if you really love something, people are willing to give for that. I mean,
totally.
people say,
especially artists. Artists donate like work to me all the time, and somebody's just saying, if you commission an artist for a couple $100, I've commissioned an artist for like $5 in Bitcoin. No joke. So because they love Bitcoin, so I think they do work for $5.
I think it says in the Bible somewhere like it's more blessed to give than to receive. But I think there's also like scientific studies that show that you're I don't know, dopamine or something, like you actually get a psychological benefit from giving a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think it could happen.
But there's open source mechanisms that change, like ProTip. Okay, ProTip is open source browser extension, which does everything that Change can do and more because it's automatic, and it's open source, and you can fiddle with it in ways that you can't with Change Tip. And sure, it doesn't have the platform integration, but until we get to the platform integration level where there'd be a huge crazy adoption, like Facebook suddenly adopts Bitcoin for likes. Until we get to that point, I just don't see tipping being serious enough that we can take companies based on tipping seriously.
So it's going to take a while. So I'm glad you mentioned ProTip because I mean, I definitely prefer ProTip as to Change Tip simply because it is an open source and because I know the people who created worked their asses off for very little money and did did something even more, arguably more amazing than what the Change Tip did with multiple millions of dollars, and that's true. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. But I will say that. I will say this. I think that Daniel, I do agree with Daniel. I think that psychologically it's been proven that giving is going to be a good thing. People naturally want to give just as much almost as people naturally want to get, really, if you average it out. And that wouldn't be the case or else we wouldn't have society, right? We wouldn't have supply and demand. So I really think that this tipping thing is going to take off and hit mass adoption. But yeah, I think we're not there yet. I think we're a couple of years possibly away from any type of tipping mechanism in Bitcoin really taking off. Because, it did have some uphill when it first came in, I saw a lot more people tipping, but like both said, it kind of fell off because people were only receiving a few cents at a time. And the idea was to receive a few cents from 1,000 people, like Dustin said.
Yeah.
But that, of course, never happened yet because we just didn't hit that kind of critical mass. So it kind of fell off. But I think that it's going to come back in a big, huge way. And I think that, our next article is going to lead into it a little bit. But I think that it's going to come back as more and more media gets secured in the blockchain and as understanding of the blockchain itself widens. I think more and more people will gravitate to it. And also, it's such a new thing because tipping over the internet, we've just literally never had the ability in the 20 years of the internet that we've had to just send somebody $1, like just whenever we want, just instantly, without a bank account, without any prior signups, without anything. And it's really new to people. This concept is really, really new. And I just don't think that people have gotten it yet. And they won't for a little while. But eventually it will happen, I think, and it will reach a tipping point. And when everybody's got a Bitcoin wallet, like everybody's got a bank account, it's gonna be a lot easier. So yeah. So I like this. I like this idea that they're coming out with. I like the fact that they listen to their customers and they put out this decentralized wallet. It's
that
great.
Is the right move. It is the right move.
I definitely think it's the right move because that was literally the number one, in my opinion, that's the number one criticism that I found from people that I talked to about ChainShift was, oh, it's all centralized. They keep everything. They charge fees, and you can't take it off of their network. It's an exchange. And I'm like, yeah, it's true that in the beginning when you build a Bitcoin company, at least in the time that they did, everything had to be on chain, and that's understandable. We just don't have a big enough network yet to really put everything off chain. So, to put everything in the beginning, they put everything off chain. That's what I meant. Is that off chain is the easiest to do in the beginning, in your own database. But eventually, things are going to go on. Things are going to go on the chain. And this decentralized wallet, I believe everything is on the chain. So maybe there's.
I heard you like your things off chain, so I
like on chain,
on chain while you are on chaining off chain.
Sweet. So whatever you do, stay on chain. Is what you got to do. See, I'm active. We got a bunch of people. Well, yeah. So if you got just a quick clarification, we definitely allow people to join in to the show. Like sometimes we have 4 guests and there's no room, but we definitely. Horace just joined. What up, Horace? He's another Bitcoin advocate. So, we definitely allow people to join in. That's the whole idea. That's why we're choosing Blab as a platform, is that so we can have people just kind of come in and join in and ask questions and at any time. So definitely people are welcome to join in. I do, of course, have the right to I still like to have the right to refuse anybody to come in that I want, so I want to keep that out there so people know that I will, if I feel like refusing you, I still will refuse you.
Because we on the last question, though?
We've had a couple of spammers and stuff. But yeah, I guess we are already on the last question. So
that's why I felt bad. The guy would only get to be in for one question. I was like, come back next week. You can be in for the full show. Everybody come back next week. You'll be in the full show. You can join.
Yeah. And Horace, if you want to join in, man, you're welcome to. Of course, we love having you and your knowledge in here, and we love hearing you say the word about. But because you're from Canada, but we love having you in here, man. So whenever you want to come in, man, you're always welcome to come into the show. So let's move on to the final topic, the actual final topic. We've been going now for almost 2 hours. This will probably put us on the 2-hour. Total 2 hours. So, we really like Bitcoin over here. So let's see here.
What do you mean? When this show is over, I'm just going back to watching the mempool.
Exactly. Pretty much
cutting in my arm. Slowly.
For sure. All right, guys. So here's the final article, final topic. So again, it kind of ties into what we were just talking about. This is called The Media Chain is Using Blockchain to Create a Global Rights Database. So hopefully you guys got a chance to check out this article. I'd like to talk about it in a minute. Daniel, what do you think about this article? Do you think that that this company A has a hope of achieving what they want to achieve? And do you think that this is a good thing? Is this the paradigm that we're heading to? And why do you think people are heading towards this in the first place? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a huge thing in Bitcoin and in art. We have our Bitcoin and the Arts podcast, which is kind of on hiatus right now. But John has talked several times about companies just like this with Imogen Heap and I don't even remember what the other ones are. But companies just like this that are trying to put art on the blockchain. And for me, intellectual property, I mean, morally, there's, it's kind of up for debate. Is it good? Is it bad? Whatever. But practically, it's just impossible to me. to a certain extent. I mean, you're never, what I mean by that is practically you are never, even with the blockchain, you're never going to be able to prevent people from copying art or ideas or anything. Even if you have an image that you can decode all the way down to zeros and ones, somebody could change a single digit out of millions that are in your pixels or whatever, and you're nobody's ever going to notice that the image is different, but it's not, the blockchain's not going to recognize it. It's going to be seen as a new piece of art, and it's going to be a copy. So practically, I think that true digital rights protections, just, it's not possible. But I still love these companies like this. I love their ideas, and I want them to move forward. And here's why. Even though they can still copy it, at the very least, you can still see who owns the original rights. I mean, so somebody else is gonna copy it and send it around or whatever, but the human can still go to the blockchain and say, this is the person who created it, who has a scribe. Sorry, I just remembered that. Another one that's pretty similar is called a scribe. I think it's .io. But anyway, yeah. I still love these ideas. Imogen Heap is one of her main ideas, is trying to, it's basically credits, music credits, like who did the drumming on this music track, who wrote the song, and just kind of storing all those credits on the blockchain. And that, I think, is a great idea. And you can transfer ownership of whatever from one person to another. And sure, the music can still be copied. We're never going to get away from that. But it's still helpful to have a record of who created what. And sure, it'll get copied, but at least we know who created it. And if we want to attribute it to them, if we want to pay them some tips or whatever, that's there for us to do. So I like these ideas.
So if we want to send them 25 cents, we can. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So Horace, I don't know if you probably didn't get a chance to see this article, but I'd like to hear some of your thoughts maybe on using the blockchain to revitalize or to rebuild, to remake the broken rights industry, the broken rights industry that's both with media and every type of media you can think of, and also the rights management. Yeah. So what do you think about media rights management on the blockchain and on the future of it? What do you think?
I think it's an interesting concept. We've seen people like what was her name, Tatiana Moroz, I think her name is, one of the old Bitcoin veterans, and she's trying to do exactly that. Just help the artists in the music industry with the blockchain. Now, as Yumi and BTC mentioned, people can copy it. People can copy music now. I don't think that's really the issue that it's trying to tackle. But also, as you mentioned, you're able to see who owns the original rights. And I think that's good, not just for big music companies to attach their information, but for individuals and like small projects to be able to attach their copyright information or credits or anything like that. I think this has been coming for a long time, and I'm interested to see sort of which direction it goes in.
Very interesting. Yeah, exactly. I agree with both of you guys. I think that this is not designed to like prevent the ability to copy files. I don't think that was anybody's goal here. I think that what they were trying to do was protect their rights management, protect the copyrights. And even if you do change, like you said, one pixel and nobody can notice, we still have the original. We can go back and see, okay, what was the first version of this image on the blockchain? And we see, oh, look, it belongs to this person. So more than likely, that's the person that created this. And so just to have that, I think is going to be absolutely invaluable. And this has been a problem for so many decades in the music industry and the movie industry. Just getting people proper freaking credits, it's just difficult. It's just not like possible with the current system that we have. So, Dustin, what are your thoughts on media rights management on the blockchain in this article? You're muted. You're muted, bro. Gotta unmute. He'll get to it. And we got a couple questions to get to on the side as well. But go ahead, Dustin. Still muted. So I guess Dustin is still muted. We'll wait for him to unmute. Are you, Dustin? Okay, he's checking, so he's doing something. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, so I think that the ability to do this is going to be really important going into the future, because we're in this digital world now, and the amount of content that we're producing is just unreal. You know, the amount of minutes to get uploaded to YouTube per minute or per day is unreal. You know, we're talking years and years of movie uploaded daily to Bitcoin. So to Bitcoin, to YouTube, and to things like that. So looks like we lost Dustin. He'll be back in a minute, I'm sure. But go ahead, Daniel.
Well, there's a pretty good question here. When ownership is determined by private keys, what happens when ownership is altered by litigation? And I think that's actually one of the big points of having private keys or the blockchain or encryption or whatever, is that we don't want to trust litigation. We don't want people to say who owns what, when we can have a solid record of the blockchain telling us who owns what. Now, it is true, there are going to be times when, let's say with a system like MediaChain, I write a song and I send it to my co-host, John, to edit it and produce it, because he does a lot with music. And let's say he really loves it, and so as soon as it's done, he puts it on blockchain and he claims it as his own. That's going to happen. It's not great, and you're right. The private keys are then they're just gonna say the wrong thing. They're gonna say he made the music when I wrote it or whatever. But I think in general we would rather have that than have the ability for judges or corporations or whoever to just say, I think I own this now, and I'm going to hammer my gavel here, and now I own it, or he owns it, or you own it.
Because right now,
I think
you're right. Right now, it's us versus these huge lawyers. Like, there's no way that any normal person could compete, or that could argue fairly in a court of law when they're up against these crazy lawyers. But now we have with the blockchain, we actually have that one little guy actually has a lot more power. But keep going, Daniel.
I mean, that was about it. Yeah. I mean, the origin with the blockchain and private keys, the origin might be manipulated. I mean, because the link between music and the blockchain is sketchy. I mean, the blockchain can't really know for sure who initially created the music, but once it's there, just like and that's why we like Bitcoin even more, because the origin of Bitcoin, there is no link between my dollar and the blockchain. It's just Bitcoin on the blockchain. There is no fuzzy link there. There's no question. But still, with music, once it's established on the blockchain, from there on, we can trust it completely. We can see where it is, who owns what, no matter what the litigators say. And that, I think, is a benefit.
For sure. Dustin, you're back with us here. Are you unmuted?
Testing.
Yeah, we are unmuted. So go ahead, Dustin.
Oh, okay, so I was gonna say, have you been to my site, btcartgallery.com, and you were saying, you know, oh, we got to keep a record of ownership and blah 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 blah. All these guys, all these companies are like, oh, I'm gonna make the thing that records art on the blockchain. I've seen like 20 of them, okay, since I started. And
there's been a few. There's been a few.
And how many were interested in going through my website and actually taking the art and the source and hashing it into the blockchain? Zero, big zero. How many reached out and got in contact with me and were like, your project, I want to help you on this project. It seems important to get the Bitcoin art into the blockchain. How many people came forward with that, with all these fancy millionaire companies? Zero. Honest interest is zero. Okay, they follow me, they retweet me. Do they do the work? No, they want to be paid though. They want the money that comes with the idea, okay, but they aren't willing to do the work for the group, the group, because if they would have already done this like a year ago with me. They would have been like, we're just going to move your website into a hash block and it's done. And I didn't even ask your permission. I already forked your website. Good. That's what you should have done. Since none of them have done that, I have zero belief in the project, because the incentive to produce art and help artists produce art and communicate with others must not be there, because otherwise they would be communicating with the artists, and the artists are not being communicated with. They're not reaching out to Bitcoin artists being like, please hash your art into our blockchain, sidechain we're going to put on the blockchain. They haven't reached out to any of them, zero, none of them. Okay, that's the divide there that tells me that they're all scams, or that they don't care, in which case they might as well be a scam. So I'm really cold about these media blockchain guys, because they have an opportunity every single day to reach out to the community and do what they say they're going to do. They expect that the community will step up and do everything around it for them, do all the work for them. No.
Justin, I was distracted by the chat there. Can you put that in like a sentence or two? Because I think it sounded great.
Somebody's got their speaker on. It's got to be Dustin.
Oh, is it what? What is it? Me? Yeah, I've got my speaker on. Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear ourselves on there.
Oh, my bad. No, it's totally my the thing. I jumped out, joined back in.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just wanted to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No,
yeah,
I
ahead,
just want to pop in and say, I think. Sorry, who was it? T. Mornini was trying to say is yeah, what happens if, say, Vortex owns the song today, you mean BTC takes him to court and wins rights to that song? Now the original blockchain has to be altered, and that could be done like signing a message or something with the original priv key and a PGP or something to say, like, this is me, or that I own the rights to this now. And I think if somebody, it makes the whole process easier. Litigation can just say, okay, this is the owner, there's no confusion, we can find it easily with a hash and hand it over or suffer the legal consequences. I think that's pretty much. I think that's what T. Mornini was getting at. But
yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to trust the legal system, which even in a liberty-oriented system, there's going to be legal systems, and people are going to trust them, and arbiters and stuff like that. And so, if that does happen, yeah, you can transfer the rights. At the end of a case, if the rights need to be transferred, they can be transferred by the false owner can transfer them to the true owner. And if the false owner refuses to do that, it would be just like any other crime. I mean, if they're not willing to listen to a mutually acceptable arbiter, then I mean, just like any other crime, shoplifting or whatever, you just you treat it however you want to treat it. So if the rights need to be transferred, they can. If not, it's a crime.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think you guys both make good points. I think that we're going to find all sorts of ways to actually get people to make people believe that the system is. See, how can I say it? We're going to find ways to find parallels from the old system to the new. So when we have, like, for example, this problem that you guys were illustrating, it's a problem in the old world and it's a problem in the new world. But the difference is in the new world with Bitcoin, we have options because it's programmable. So we can program a solution into it the right way. We can program different ways to prove that we originally. That this person, has a third-party key to this particular object, just things like that. I think that we have the ability with Bitcoin, the ability to program our way out of these problems. So I don't think it's going to be. I think this is going to be the future with using the blockchain as the first line to see who owns something. But yeah, it's going to take years. We're talking over a decade. People are quite used to copying files and stuff like that. So. It's definitely going to be a while. For sure. So just any final words to add to this conversation? Horace first. Any final thoughts or words on this particular topic?
Not overly. I think we're gonna have to
Okay.
see it develop a little more as time goes on.
Yeah, we definitely seen a few different startups try to tackle this problem for sure. As as Dustin said, it's been tried a few times, and it's going to be tried, I think, a few more times before we finally nail it. And really, to be honest, I think Bitcoin has to go mainstream before we can even really attempt to build a system like this, around proof of rights and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Horace, go ahead, Horace.
Oh, sorry. I just saw the guys sort of talking on the side saying there's no point doing colored coins if the government can decide who does it. I think these are two separate issues. I think you can have the anonymous or decentralized chain, but the record companies want this chain. The legal entities would want that chain, and the public should be able to access that chain. I think it would have to work in an ideal society. I mean, the lawmakers, the criminals, wouldn't be the guys controlling it, but they do, and they do right now. And I think it'll adapt into a system like that long before it adapts into the other.
Exactly. I think so too, very much. So, Daniel, any final points on this topic?
Real quick, I just typed this, but I don't know why the chat showed up as blank. It doesn't say I said anything.
Yeah, it says blank.
So my response to how do you fix the record in the blockchain is just that maybe you can't. If he refuses to do it, it's like if a shoplifter already ate the candy bar, you can't recover it. He's a criminal. That's all you can do is treat him like a criminal. You can't recover the candy bar if he's already eaten it. So there you go.
Very true. Very true. Well, awesome points, guys. This is a very interesting topic, and we are very much going to see this develop, as there is huge incentive in the creative world to make a system like this, because the current system is broken the way it is. Just like there's a huge incentive to have Bitcoin replace the financial system, or at least have the ability to opt out of it. So I think that huge incentive is going to be behind this, and we're going to see it develop over the next few years. So very cool, guys. Thanks so much for joining us, Horace. Man, I wish you could join us earlier, man. You always got such good information and such good insights, and we're here every Monday at 8. Horace, get your ass in here and join us, man.
I thought it was Sundays for the longest time, and then I guess now it's Monday.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, it was. Yeah. I can tell you it was never Sundays. It was Saturdays for a while in the afternoon there, but then I moved it to Monday nights. So.
All right, I'll make an alarm for.
Exactly. Now, also, this is a good segue to this. Basically, I also want to make a slight announcement as well, is that I'm actually taking the show down a notch a little bit. We're going to be going, instead of every single week, I'm going to take it to every other week. So actually, Horace, next week we won't be here, but the week after next, I won't be here. So as soon as the second you decide to finally join us, we're going to switch it up on you. But it'll be the same day, same time, Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific. So for sure, you guys join us back here. We'll be back here in a couple weeks, 2 weeks from today. Again, I'm just stepping it down a little bit because I got a lot of stuff happening in my personal life, professional life, hobbies, all sorts of stuff going on. So I'd like to just take this back a notch a little bit for a little while. I definitely enjoyed the time I had with my guests, and I enjoyed the chat room. You guys have been great. Another awesome show. And so before we go, I just want to ask Daniel, where can we find you, man? Did you have any last things to say, like stories of the week or anything, or?
Man, I don't know. I'll just say it. Cool. It was a ton of fun. T Mornini and anyone else who wants to have a chat, reach out on Twitter. One of these two corners at YouMe and BTC, or YouMe and BTC.com. We got our podcast there, and check out Bitcoin and the Arts there too. That's my co-host. Kind of has a sub podcast, and it's kind of on hiatus now, but I want to get him to do another episode soon if I can convince him. So check all that out. I think this Thursday, our regular shows every Thursday. I think we're going to have Bitcoin Bell on the show with us this week, talking about a book that she is currently writing. So that should be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check out the podcast, you guys. He's got over 100 episodes, tons of hours of awesome content. Smart people, definitely check that out. And then for Dustin, he's no longer in the room. He was probably having technical problems.
He's no longer with us.
He's no longer with us. But Dustin is what the heck was his BTC Art Gallery, at BTC Art Gallery. Or you could just Google BTC Art Gallery. I'm pretty sure it's btcartgallery.com.
It's btcartgallery.com, and I think he might have search indexing turned off because I can never find it when I Google it. So I need to talk to him about that. But yeah, btcartgallery.com.
And then at BTC Art Gallery as well, and on Twitter. And of course, you can find us always in a World Crypto chat room. Horace, anything you want to plug, man? Anything you want to tell people where to find you?
You can find me on my cooking page. When I'm on it now more because I'm always on on Blab, and my main Blab account got banned. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no. So yeah, you can reach out to me here, or people who need to find me can email me or find me and all that fun stuff. I'm sure you can find the info out there. Yeah, and also I've noticed some pretty good plays on Ethereum and Ripple as of recent, which is very exciting. But no, definitely lots of play there, and there's a lot of money behind ETH right now, a lot of power. But aside from trading altcoins on a Bitcoin show, that's about it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, we love Horace, man. We trading altcoins can definitely be fun when you make a little money and stuff like that. But yeah, do not do that thinking you're going to be rich. It's very, very brutal out there in the trading world. So thanks again, guys, for joining us. Again, we're going to be back here in 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from now, I'll schedule the Blab. And of course, you guys can all subscribe. And then I'll also upload this to the World Crypto Network. So please, guys, join us again in a couple weeks. And thanks so much. And we will talk Bitcoin at another time. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Guys,
take care.
Bye-bye.